We're back, and we're moving into our second conversation for today. As we mentioned earlier in the show, there is a career webinar coming up on the 27th, and it's all about opportunities that exist for Belizeans to apply for jobs in the United Nations. And we have with us to tell us more about this, we have Eva Jansen, who is the officer in charge of the Department of Management Strategy, and she's at the UN headquarters in New York. And we're also joined by Dr. Dion Chamberlain, the chairman of Belize Coalition of Service Providers. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us and to tell us about opportunities that people may not know are available to them. Let's start off, if we can get from you, Dr. Chamberlain, the connection that has been made with the Belize Coalition of Service Providers for this opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Marlene, for having us. A few months ago, we were contacted by the United Nations team interviewing us actually for our interest in being a part of this program. I don't know if you're aware, but Belize and several other countries throughout the world is underrepresented within the United Nations for employment. And during this year, as they are seeing retirements and job opportunities come up, the United Nations wants to ensure that there is equal opportunity for countries like Belize, who are underrepresented at this time, and women very heavily, to become more involved. And so we realized that this was a perfect partnership. The Coalition of Service Providers, we are there to assist anyone and any association or business within the service sector be able to export their services. And during COVID-19, where there has been massive job loss, even in very senior management positions, the closing of banks and different areas, we do realize that there's a lot of talent available in Belize, but the opportunities for employment are very minimal. And so we were excited to join this team in bringing this to Belize so that we can actually help those who are interested in working abroad, because this is for the brave, this is for the bold, who want to live in countries like in Africa and give back, because that's what the United Nations does in every one of their different organizations. It's all about giving back and making a difference to the rest of the world.
Yeah, definitely. We have a lot of brave and bold in Belize. So I want to bring it over from the UN perspective, Eva. Why, clearly it is important to have adequate representation from countries across the globe. What have you found so far to be the reasons why some countries are underrepresented?
Thank you. That's a really good question. I think mostly people are not aware that we have jobs in all areas, opportunities that range from, let's say, architects, biologists. We have people like me, human resources officers, so a lot of jobs in administration, actually. We do have jobs, obviously, in human rights, political affairs, and legal. But we really span the entire cross of possibilities. We look for teachers, we look for language professionals, as you can imagine, with all our conferences. So we always look for translators and interpreters. We also have internship opportunities. So there's really a lot going on. And I believe that in many countries, we're just maybe a little bit too far away, and that it's not knowledge that is widespread.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, you mentioned a key factor there. There's a perception that working within the UN means that you must be with a specific skill set that fits whatever organization you're working with. If it's children, you're looking at child development. If it's some other sector, it has to be specific. But you're saying that the HR actually extends to other areas from management.
That's correct. And I see you have a nice map there on the screen at the moment.
Yeah.
So just to give some more insights, you might know that we are more than 30 organizations within the UN Common System. So I work for the main organization, the Secretariat. But yeah, as you said, there are lots of agencies, funds, and programs. that actually offer very specific opportunities for skill sets in niche areas as well. So that could be the Intellectual Property Organization, or I think everybody knows UNESCO or UNICEF. But in the Secretariat, so we deal a lot with political decision making, but we have our very specific mandates to make and keep peace all around the world. And this is where we come to the courageous, the bold ones. And honestly, it's sometimes, maybe that's another reason why we lack applications from some countries. It might sound worse than it is. It is not that dangerous. It is a great life. And it's actually an opportunity to move around, be international, meet new people every few years, learn new languages, get to know new cultures. It is fascinating. It is really a passionate life.
Tell us about your journey.
With pleasure. So I'm from Austria. I started in the duty station in Austria, as I have actually a legal background. I started in legal advisory and protocol, and then I moved to, because I have a specialization in human rights, I moved to the Office on Drugs and Crime, where I became a crime prevention expert. And from there, I was detached for an assignment in Lebanon after the assassination of the prime minister at the time. So I worked more in investigations there. It was very fascinating. And then meanwhile, I got a baby and I was looking for a place where my son could go to school. And so I looked for, something a little bit more stable and found a job in Switzerland, where I worked in something that I would call, maybe in the private sector, event management.
Okay.
It was related to the legislative authorities of the United Nations, but still, it was a very different area. And then we found that we needed some new adventures, and we moved on to New York, where I've shifted to various positions in human resources.
Okay. And that's part of the opportunity that comes once you are employed within the UN system, that you can be able to apply to other countries as well.
Correct. You can apply to any country as long as you fulfill the qualification requirements. And you can actually also move across organizations.
Okay. Now, how difficult is it? How competitive?
Very good question again. It is surely competitive. And I think if I can give a good advice to anybody who would be interested in joining an international organization, it is learn a new language. That makes you very competitive.
Okay. All right. So that's one, check. You also have to meet the qualifications of the job as well.
Yes, absolutely. So we usually have educational and work experience requirements apart from the languages. Educational requirements for the Secretariat, typically so we have different, as I see here the slide, we have different categories of jobs. So we have more local jobs where you don't need more than a high school diploma. And then what we call international jobs, like, for example, a P3 or a P4, P5. You need a number of work experience that would fit to that particular position. So let's say you apply for a medical position, you should have worked for at least 3 years, or depending on the level of the job, in a medical profession. So you can actually choose, do you want to stay more local? Do you want to go into a supportive role? And you don't want to continue your education, you stay with a high school diploma? That's totally fine for us. Or are you more adventurous and you want to go into the international field and try to make the world a better place outside of your own country? Then we typically would expect you to have a bachelor's or a master's degree and a number of years of experience in the area in which you want to work.
And this is fascinating. So, and because everyone would think, you have to have, at the very least, your master's degree to be able to enter service for the UN. But from the field service, it's high school diploma.
Absolutely. Well, yes. And in particular for GS level. So this stands for General Service. This is really more for people who want to contribute to the mandates of the organization, but they don't think of really moving every few years.
Now, Dion, tell us from your perspective, just, you know, is it, do you think that Belizeans aren't aware of the opportunity, that we don't take advantage of attempting to apply?
I honestly believe that's the situation, because I wasn't aware that we would be able to necessarily qualify for a lot of the United Nations posts that are abroad. So when it was brought to my attention that even internships, which a lot of our students would be interested in starting up, because that provides the experience that a lot of our young people need to be able to get into the world of work. And I personally was not aware, and I feel that I'm well networked.
Yeah.
I know of consultancies that are available within the UN system.
Yeah.
I know of consultancies that are available within the entire multinational structure, but I never knew that there was that capability for these international jobs. For some reason, it always seemed very elusive, and you had to be this caliber that was beyond. And so when we got in touch, it really excited me, because I have a lot of friends and I have a lot of professionals who are interested and would be interested. What I mentioned to the UN team is that right now there are a lot of young people who are now empty nesters. And those are the ones who have that ability to pack up with their spouses or their significant others and go to another country and enjoy that, a change of environment with an organization who cares about your health and safety. So realistically, you're going to get that care that you're looking for while living your dream per se, while working in a job that is meaningful to you at this time, where meaningful job openings are very, very limited, especially within Belize. I like the fact that Eva was able to mention that there are teachers, I mean, there are translators. A lot of people are able to go and teach within an English school in a foreign country, which is needed within this environment as well. So the opportunities are really endless.
Yeah.
However, it does take someone who is willing to move. And I know that sometimes within Belize, we don't even want to go and work from Corozal to Belize City, because that's such a distance. So when we set the bold, and Eva can also tell you there are Belizeans in the UN system abroad. And that was what also excited me, because I did know that we have other role models to follow. And to be honest with you, Marlene, I'm excited personally to look into these jobs myself right now. So it's something new for all of us.
And I think you said something key. I think the assumption is that you have to start working at a UN agency locally to eventually move and apply to others around the world. Well, Eva, I'm sure that does help if you have some UN experience already.
Oh, that's another fascinating question. You know, I think most of our vacant positions, and we have thousands of vacant positions per year, actually look for people who are in a mid or senior career point of their lives. And typically the question we get is, I have only experience in the private sector. Is it at all worthwhile for me to apply for a job in the UN? But that's actually what we are looking for. We look for outsiders with a range of experience. And I think one can imagine the UN actually like a company. You don't need to make such a big difference. We look for people who have experience in their field of expertise, and it does not matter whether it is in the UN or not. Now, when you look at positions that are what we call in the field, so more in peacekeeping or peacemaking, obviously, you know, the role expects it from you to have worked in that area. And that does not mean necessarily UN experience, but typically that would be then with a non-governmental organization or eventually with a government. But it always is just catered to the role, and we do not prefer people who have UN work experience, not at all. So we're really looking to increase our diversity. Also, when I talk about diversity, I would like to make the point that we're very open to persons with disabilities, for example. So this is gender, nationalities, any other point you could imagine that would increase the diversity in our workforce would make us extremely happy.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. Now, the application, and perhaps a reason we don't always know, is that you actually have to go out and seek the opportunities. There is a website where all the job openings are posted.
Yes, that's correct. We call that our careers portal.
Okay.
It's careers.un.org. And you will find everything there. Also, internship opportunities for younger people, any other position. Also, as Dion mentioned before, consultancies that we also have. Everything is posted there.
Yeah. And you can find jobs from administrative level. I know there's some openings for like IT positions.
Yes.
These
yes,
are
correct.
Yeah.
One of the interesting parts about our new relationship that's being built is the fact that whenever there are new postings, the Belize Coalition of Service Providers will receive that information. We'll be able to place that on our website, on our Facebook, and of course inform the media, because like I mentioned before, our mandate is to ensure that the service sector gets to export its services, and no clearer indication of doing that than getting them out into the international arena, being able to share the wealth of knowledge and what Belize and Belizeans have to offer. So we're excited about this partnership as well at this time.
Yeah. What's been the reaction so far? I know you've been advocating for people to register for the webinar so they can get all this information. Have you found people interested so far?
Well, actually, I tallied the numbers 3 or 4 days ago, and we already had 80 people signed up. And these 80 people that signed up are, I believe we had 4 PhDs, we had 40 master's persons, I think it was 30 bachelors, and I believe it was 4 at high school level. So we're very impressed because you have to fill in all of those forms and you have to qualify to be a part of the webinar, which is on the 27th of April. And so there has been a lot of interest. In fact, I've been getting emails at the coalition. And so, yes, there is interest. And I believe that it surpassed our KPI for attendees for that session that day already. So we're excited to know that people are serious.
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted to be on your show today, because we know that by people just knowing that it's available is where we start to move forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. Eva, when you say our country is underrepresented, meaning we have some Belizeans that do work in the UN system, locally and internationally, of course. Does that mean that we perhaps have a bit of a competitive edge if we don't have as much representation?
Yes, definitely. That's a very competitive edge, absolutely.
Yeah. So our application, if it's put against another country that has a lot of their nationals in the workforce, it will be looked at very closely because we don't have as many Belizeans working within the UN system.
Yes, that's very correct. We actually ask our hiring managers to look particularly for nationals from countries that are underrepresented.
Okay. Now, what do you say to people about the benefits of working in the UN beyond the travel? And I do believe that people are more open now to working in other countries and studying in other countries. But what are some of the other things that you'd like for people to know about working in the UN system?
There are so many things. I think I cannot enumerate them all here, but we will go in detail into this during the webinar. And we are so grateful to Dion for helping us spread the word and organizing this. Let me point out some things that I think in nowadays times become more and more important. I mean, I'm a woman, I have a child. For some time, I was a single mom. And, you know, in many workplaces, it's not easy to juggle your private life and your professional life. So the UN is actually a very family-friendly employer. We have high standards of annual leave, of parental leave for both parents. Also, if you adopt a child, we have a very good health and life insurances. We have a very well-funded pension fund. So these are, you know, more on the financial side.
Yeah.
But obviously our salaries, they are competitive. And it's not that, you know, if you're in a high-paying profession in the private sector, it's maybe not comparable. After all, we are the public sector, but we can afford for ourselves and our families a decent life. honestly, I think if you go around in the UN and you ask staff what is it that they appreciate most in their jobs and in being a part of the United Nations, they will tell you it's the people. It's the people with who you work, the mandates that you work towards, and this community that we have, and that then brings, other than only financial aspects. So, for example, going back to your family life, we will help you to allow yourself to have your children in international private schools until they have finished their bachelor's degree, because we know that if you move around in the world, your children will need some type of international education, and we will not leave you alone there and just let you struggle with this. So there's a lot of support for you to have a well-balanced professional and private life.
And of course, having a human rights focus as well ensures that the equality that's built in when we talk about gender stereotypes, also ensuring that family is a priority. These are all added benefits.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that one of the most important things is in today's world where there is a lot of bullying occurring and where there's a lot of toxic workplaces, I believe that within the UN system, from what I've seen so far, that it's a respectful workplace because their organizational tenets and values are actually enforced. And that in itself creates that space that you want to go to work. I also believe that the flexible methodologies, I mean, we are now looking at being able to work at home, but the UN system has had these hybrid work spaces in place for over 10 years now. So there's a lot of value that many of us are now seeing because of COVID as well, but it has been in place. And so it also shows that they are innovative and the technology is at a high level. And I believe that it's a really great environment for you to be able to give back once you've self-actualized, when you're at that 40 age and you're ready to give back and want to make a shift in the world, and whatever you touch is better than it was before. This is really one of the careers that you go into because you're touching the lives of children, of vulnerable communities and vulnerable populations. And if that is really something that you want to do, this is really the place to do it because you're respected while you're trying to respect others.
Now, what happens after the webinar? You said we have to apply to participate in the webinar.
Yes, so you click on the flyer that we sent out. It has a registration link, and just fill in that data, and then you will get a link to attend the session. We're not able to share the links with our friends once we're on and we like it. It's per person who registers. That's one of the
or send me the recorded video.
So you have to register to be a part of it because we need to also know that you qualify so that we can have the speakers that can speak to your particular needs and respond to what it is that you're interested in. So it's very important for persons to register. The cutoff date for registration is actually the 25th so that we can prepare ourselves completely and be ready. The session is going to be held at a very perfect time that we're off of work, 5 o'clock in the evening, so that we can relax and wind down and be a part of it. But I really believe that it's important for us to attend for ourselves or for us to share with family members and friends, Belizean diaspora, who may be interested in being a part of this, especially in this time of joblessness. I believe that this really adds hope to many of us right now.
Yeah. And Eva, there are, what you said, thousands of job openings currently.
Yeah, and if I may add to what Dion just said, in the webinar, we will explain to our audience how to apply actually, to make it easier. So we will do some hand-holding through the application process, give some tips on how an interview in the UN looks like, how you can perform well, how you can succeed, just to maybe overcome also the first psychological barriers, because we feel very often that people are shy to apply to the UN. And I think it's worthwhile trying. It's really something that is worth the effort. And I think one of the big benefits and advantages is also that you can choose what you want to do. So nobody will force you to be international or to go to a country where you don't want to go. You pick yourself.
Yeah.
We will show you how to find the right job and how to apply for it and how to be successful in your application.
All right, and so that's a great opportunity if you have people who will be helping you find the opportunities that exist and also prepare you for the interview. I'm sure your interview is a lot different from people would expect in private sector.
Well, and I would say we try to make it as fair and unbiased as possible. So we really try to embrace everybody who we meet.
All right. Okay, so where do we go to sign up, Dan?
There's a flyer that we have on our Facebook page for the Belize Coalition of Service Providers, and it's also on our website. However, if anybody is interested in having me send it to them via WhatsApp as well, please send me a WhatsApp at +501 610 3883 or email us at chairman@bcsp.org.bz, and I'll be happy to respond and send it back. Like I said, it's an active link. You click on it once you get it, and then you're registered and smooth sailing.
All right. Well, ladies,
I'm sorry, I made an error in the time. It's 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., which is New York time. So if you see that on the, it's really 5:30 Belize time.
Yeah, yeah. It's after work hours Belize time.
Yeah. So you can relax and get comfortable.
Yeah.
So as you look at it, please don't get daunted and think that it's 3:30 New York time that you're seeing there, but it's really 5:30 Belize time. All
right. Well, thank you both for telling us all about this. The webinar takes place on the 27th at 5:30. You do have to register online to participate, and the webinar will be the opportunity to find out more about the job opportunities that do exist, how you can apply, what the process is like, and give you the tips that you need to be successful with your application. Ladies, we appreciate you joining us to tell us all about this, and best of luck.
And thank you so much, Marlene. We really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
All right, and with that, we're going to go ahead and take our final break, and when we come back, we'll be wrapping up the show, so please stay tuned.